Hello everyone, and welcome to the train wreck that is the Brainy Beaver channel. Will you see me in my boxer briefs? Will there or will there not be syrup involved? Well, I can tell you this. If the subscriber losses from my last episode are anything, the answer is no, never again! Steve here has been undersubscribed for a very long time. It's mostly because his content is crap, and that's saying a lot for flat earthers because we all know their content is, grade A.
That's grade A, top choice meat. I like to bite right through that thing.
I've seen so many, many different balls with protrusions like spikes, and so I think it might be a T4 cocaine. Who knows?
So come with me while we take a look at Steven Pennington.
Okay, let's count the cars today. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 employees, and no visitors or no patients. Now, this hospital was just built and finished and opened up right at the time the COVID-19 hit. And I know people travel. My next door neighbor just went to Florida, came back. And so we're still getting air flights from Louisiana all the time. Been getting them for the last month. How come all the spread of COVID-19 ain't been happening here in Oklahoma City? Because I don't know, maybe some of these are patients, parked in employee parking lots.
So hey, listen, if you're from Oklahoma, then just, I'm going to ask you turn away, plug your ears, leave the room, do something, because I'm about to rip on your state a little bit, and I really want you to like me when this is over. But Oklahoma, okay? So not exactly the most bustling state in the American Union, coming in at 29th and counting for a whopping 1% of U.S. GDP, we have Oklahoma with its sparse population, to say the least. And then there's videos like this.
Ah, Oklahoma. Beauty, sunshine, and lots of wide open spaces. Most of America doesn't know about how truly special this Sooner State really is. While lots of places in Oklahoma are truly fabulous, there's also cities in the Sooner State that outright suck. The worst parts of Oklahoma. You know them when you see them. They're the parts of Oklahoma where you don't want to go, if you can help it. The goal today is to highlight the cities in Oklahoma that are the worst of them all. How do we do it? We measure the things most bad cities have. Where people are broke, where lots of people don't have a job, and where crime and drug use is sky high.
It's okay, honestly. I'm from an area of the country where, people generally, listen, if you tell somebody you're moving to Winnipeg.
Hey man, did you hear? I'm moving to Winnipeg. Why? Why would you do that?
And since your COVID numbers are kind of almost directly in line with your economic numbers, I would make the simple argument that nobody wants to go to Oklahoma. Sorry?
I'm sorry, Wilson! Wilson, I'm sorry!
But in all honesty, I looked into Integris hospitals and I found out that they're actually micro-hospitals. Micro-hospitals. The kind of place that's fully equipped to handle COVID patients. The kind of place that just would have all the equipment. You'd probably direct the people that were sick to the micro-hospital. Micro, tiny thing. It must be for looking at viruses. Why would they call it a micro-hospital? Well, something else to mention. While I was looking at Integris, I came across some of the ads they run. I just don't remember being advertised like this about hospitals in Canada. It's a unique system you have down there, America.
When that pager goes off in the middle of the night and someone's sick, the idea that you can change the course of that within an hour's time and then see them the next morning and see a person that looks completely different than what they did 12 hours earlier is so worthwhile.
As far as just kind of knowing that I was in medicine, it was the day-to-day little things, I got to write prescriptions. I got to see patients in the clinic and diagnose little things that maybe to the patient was more serious. There were some of the blood and guts moments too. One was we were doing OB and We were delivering a baby, and the baby had the cord wrapped around its neck, and so I was on the gurney with my hand trying to hold the baby in place while we were going into the C-section. And that's when you realize that I have this baby's life in my hands, and if I move or if I do something wrong, it's all over with. And so that's a pretty scary feeling. That's also empowering.
Look at them pull those heartstrings. This is a winning technique. Can you imagine if other industries got in on this? You know, it was just the little things, fixing tears in insulation, changing capacitors. I remember this one time I was holding down this valve, trying to make sure the refrigerant didn't leak out, and I just remember that feeling like I'm literally holding this man's sweaty ball sack in my hands. I mean, the feeling was just exhilarating. You know, seeing the smile on people's faces as the cold air rushed up their pant leg, the way the eyes cross as the air hits their testicles. It was, I mean, that's what I did this for. That's what I was in this for. But back to our friend Steve here. He has some interesting ideas about the reported shape and design of the COVID-19 virus, let's say.
Okay, now this is the COVID-19 from the United States. I don't know if it's different from the one in China, but anyway, this is a sketch. I drew it myself, but I copied it off of what's an actual photograph. It says description, transmission electron microscope image of an isolate from the first U.S. case of COVID-19. Now it says the spherical viral particles, colorized blue, contain the viral genome seen as black dots. Now my first question is, why didn't they just give us one of these blue dots and fill the screen, blow it up real big and let us see and study the black dots? But the real observation is that the black dots are inside of these spheres, not on the outside, like all the different CGIs, I guess, that they show us. We got all kinds of protrusions on the outside. You know, we got spikes and baseball bats and horns, if you will, whatever image you can make out. The official one from CVC is, I think it's red with triangular shaped like sponges, and they've got different colors of, and they're all labeled and everything like that, but nothing like this. This is the photograph. The photograph. Okay? So if they're telling us the truth, then every time anybody talks about COVID-19 and shows an image, it ought to be just like this. We have a winner! Now, this is my drawing, but I took it from, well, it was labeled, just like it says right there. Real image of, what is it, T4? And then an electron microscope. I mean, this thing is being advertised as a real photograph of a real virus from an electron microscope. Now, somebody was being interviewed, I forget who it was, but he was a for real doctor, you know, and the person having the podcast doing the interview wanted to entice people to click on their thumbnail, so they used this as the picture to represent what the doctor was talking about. And I've seen so many, you know, many different COVID-19s, balls with protrusions like spikes and baseball bats and horns and sponges, and, you know, I think the official one is supposed to be these triangular shaped sponges. But anyway, this is just as good as any of them to me because they're all different, and so I think it might be a T4 COVID-19, who knows? But we don't really care what the shape of COVID-19 is. It doesn't make any difference. The main thing is that whoever is talking, whoever's being interviewed, sounds professional, and that we're easily brainwashed. That's really all that matters, right?
All right, Mr. Pennington, this right here is an image of COVID-19 through an electron microscope. You see, the little spikes on the virus are actually like keys to your cell. When the key fits, the cell lets the virus attach and inject its RNA. This sparks off a whole process that essentially leads to your cell doing the bidding for the virus to produce more baby viruses that then go out and look for more cells to start the process again. Now, the other one you showed is actually a bacteriophage, and they are also viruses, but they are viruses for bacteria and the like. And it's really quite fascinating, actually.
The basic structure consists of a head, a sheath, and tail fibers. The tail fibers are what mediate attachment to the bacterial cell, The DNA stored in the head will then travel down the sheath and be injected inside the cell. Once inside the cell, the phage will hijack the cellular machinery to make many copies of itself.
So as you can see, there really is no difference between a phage virus and a COVID-19 virus other than the target. It's even said that without phage viruses, we would be overrun by bacteria on the planet and life as we know it would not be possible. You want to know something else? Your hands are covered in them. Because they want bacteria and your hands are covered in bacteria.
Take a look at your hand. In our team, we've estimated that you have more than 10 billion phages on each of your hands. What are they doing there? Well, viruses are good at infecting cells. And phages are great at infecting bacteria. And your hand, just like so much of our body, is a hotbed of bacterial activity, making it an ideal hunting ground for phages.
I think the number's up to 195 or something, how many nations closed because of the COVID-19. Anyway, I'm thinking probably every one of those nations had at least one Christian church in it. You know, the gospel's been preached into all the nations, probably. And maybe there's another tribe or something that's never heard the name of Jesus, and that's what prevents the Lord from coming back right now.
What? Steve, come on, Steve, my friend. There are entire tribes of people that we didn't even know about until more recently. Meet the people of North Sentinel Island. This is an island where they know nothing of us, and they don't want to know. And I can tell you one thing, Steve, they don't know who Jesus is. Or actually, they might know who Jesus is now, but they just still didn't care.
Tales that we're learning about the last days of that American missionary who was murdered on a remote Indian island. The 26-year-old dying at the hands of natives who were armed with bows and arrows. Authorities are now trying to determine if there's a way to recover his body.
Anyways, the rest of this clip from Steve is kinda all over the place, and it's probably best saved for a live stream sometime. So as always, thanks for coming. Hit subscribe, hit like, think about becoming a member for monthly live streams and more, and have a good day. See you later.